So now we're gonna work on the register part. This is gonna be a very interesting tutorial. We're gonna start light and do some advanced thing later. So we're gonna now just register a user normally, and then we're gonna go to validation and how we validate the email, and we're gonna create everything, you know, from scratch. We're gonna create it ourselves, also validate the length, for example, the name, the password, and then we're gonna crypt the password, and then also we're gonna, you know, verify the username to be 100% unique, and we're gonna send to the database and search for the username. If it does exist, we're gonna change it and then check again, you know, for a function that's always go to the database and check to make sure that we have a unique username for our user. So this is going to be very interesting. We're going to start and go to the route and then go to the user, and we're going to remove this route. We're going to make it post. This was just a test route, and then slash is going to be register, and then we're going to have a function that it's called register. So let's change it right here, go to the controller, and this is the register function. So we're going to remove everything right here. So we're going to go now to Postman, and then we're going to go and create a request. At the request, we're going to call it register, and it's going to be a post request, and then it's going to be http 8000/register. And if we send right now, there is no response from, you know, the server. So we're going to go back right here, and then what we're going to do is just console log the request.body. What I mean by the request.body is the information that we send on the body. So we're going to go back to Postman, and then here where we send in the body is going to be the informations of the user. So we're going to go right here and then choose raw, and then we're going to choose the format JSON, and then here we have an object with all of our information that's going to be on the body, and then we're going to console log them. So first of all, we're going to have first name, and then the first name is going to be any name, is make it my name, and also last name, it's going to be a lot of information, so just bear with me. I'm going to have also a lot of other things. So it's going to be email. So let's make it like, for example, email at gmail.com. We're going to have a password. Let's make it 1 2 3 4 5 6. Also, let's see what other informations we have. We have the birth year. Let's make it something random. This is not my right birthday year. So we're gonna have B month, and let's make it something random, and then the B day, and it's gonna be, for example, 1. Let's see what else we have. We have the gender, so we're gonna add the gender right here, and I believe I am a male. Okay, let's see if this is the information that we're gonna have. Let's go back, then we're gonna go to the models and go to the users. Let me check again. Okay, so we have the first name, last name, username. Okay, I didn't have the username. It is important, so I'm gonna go and add it right here. So username, and then let's have some random username. Okay, for the moment it's gonna be generated, but for the moment let's make it, you know, concatenation between my name, my first name and last name. So now we're gonna remove this, and we're gonna send, and this is the data that we send, you know, in the body. So we're gonna send, and as you see, let's cancel this, go back to our code editor and go back and open the terminal, and we're gonna see the information that we sent and we send in the body. This is the information. This is the way that we're gonna send it to our, you know, database, to our server, and then to our database to register. So the way we're gonna do it, we're gonna go back to the controller. This is first of all gonna be an async function, because we're gonna have some functions that needs a waiting, and then we're gonna require our model, the user. So const user, and then require the user, and then we're gonna go right here, and then we're gonna get all of the data from the body that we're gonna need. Okay, const, and then request.body. So we're gonna extract them from the request.body, and the information is gonna be first name, okay, last name, and then email, then username, email, username, B year, B month, B day, and then gender. Okay, first name, last name, username, birthday, year, month, day, and gender. I think this is all of it. And last thing is going to be the password, so we're going to have it right here. Okay, so now we get the information that we're going to need from the body, and here we do all of our operation. So we're going to create a user, and then the user is going to be, a new user. This is user is the one from the model that we imported, and then the objects inside it, or the informations inside it, are going to be the informations that we extract from the request.body. So these are the informations that we want to register to this user. Okay, and then what we do is simply we just here and save it. But the thing is, we need to await. So await, because this is a request to the database. It takes time, so we're going to await till it's finished, and then we're going to res the response, and then we're going to send the JSON, which is going to be the user. So we're gonna go and save it in the database, and then return the user that's been saved in the database. There is no verification, nothing here, just simple registering to the database. Also, you can remove all of this and just have like a request.body, and you're gonna get the necessary data from the body. Just remove this, and then you're gonna get them from the body. But I prefer to specify which elements we have, but it's up to you. So it's up to you. So now let's test this. So we're gonna go to the database. So we have Compass right here. This is the collection of users. There is no user right here. We're gonna go to Postman, and then we're gonna send the request. So send, and it's gonna, let's wait a little bit. I think we have an error, so let's go back. Let's open the terminal, and let's see what error we got. Model not found. Let's go. Let's see what problem we have. Okay, let me check. Okay, this is the problem. So we have the user, we didn't require it from the right place. So this is going to be go to the model and then the user. So there was an honest mistake right here. And also we're going to do something right here, which is we're going to take all of this. This is going to be inside try catch. So we catch if we have in the application. So we're going to have it in try, and we catch the error right here. And then we're going to respawn by a status of 500. That means a server internal error. And then we're going to, show the error. So and then it's going to be JSON. And then inside this, we're going to have the message, which is going to be the error.message. So this error right here that we catch have a value of message that we're going to show to the user, or show the exact internal server error. So now we're going to try again, go to Postman and then send, and as we see, we get the new user with all the informations added. So now if we go back to Compass and then we refresh, and we're going to see everything went right. But this is, as you see right here, this is a first request to the database, and we register our user successfully. But as you see right here, there is no validation. We just enter a bunch of informations, and then we send it to the database, which is very, very not professional and wrong. So what we do is we're gonna have an affirmative validation. Some of you may say like we have verification in the front end, which is when we want to send the data, we can't send data until we verify every single thing. But as you know, this is the client's part. Anything can happen, and may happen some error, or someone trying to send some wrong data to the server and then the database. So we're gonna make sure that we do the verification in the clients and then the server. And you can remove this, but the most important thing is to have the full validation in the server, because this is high security risk. So now we're gonna work on the validation. Now let's work on validation. We're gonna go to the backend and create another folder called helpers, and another file inside it, which is gonna be called validation. Inside this, we're gonna have all of our functions. So export.validate email, and it takes an email, and then we're gonna do all of our work inside this function. So we're gonna use regular expressions to validate our email, or we call them regex. And if you don't know what they are, so simply we have a string. So we're gonna make sure that this string follows some regulation and some form. So every email has a certain global form that you see it, and you know that this is an email, which is we're gonna see it in this picture. This is from a course about regex from this guy, the Net Ninja. He's very good. You can watch his videos. This is the name of his channel. So we have the email. So the email have this part. So the first of all, we have the first part, which is your name. Could be anything, and then we have @ and then we have the domain. So for example, Jake@Gmail, for example, and then dot, and then we have the extensions, Gmail, Hotmail, Outlook, Yahoo, or whatever. And then we have the fourth part, which is optional. For example, sometimes they have .co.uk. This don't exist all the time, but it's there and it's optional. So we're gonna make sure using regex that this is the form of the email. and these are some regulations for them. So your name, the first one, it could be letters, it could be numbers, it could have dots, and it could have hyphens. Okay, for the second one, it could have letters, numbers, and hyphens. There is no domain that has points in it, okay, or dots in it. And for the extensions, it's only going to be letters, but we're going to define like a length for it. And for the optional part, it starts with dots, and then you can have any letter inside this. So we're going to go to our function, and then we're going to return a string, which is going to be the email. So make sure that is a string, and then we're going to lowercase it. So it could be, you know, the user writes it in uppercase, so I want to make sure that it's lowercase to validate it right. And then we're going to match it, and then we're going to match it to a regex, you know, to a regular expression. So in a regular expression, start with this / and then we have a caret, or we call it circumflex, I think. Also we have a dollar, and then /. And inside this you write your regular expression. So we have many parts. So this is parts 1, 2, 3, and 4. So to define a part, you just use parentheses. So this is a part. You can write another part, which is by parentheses. So inside these parentheses, we're gonna have brackets. So now what we're gonna allow for this first part? We're gonna allow letters, okay, and then we allow numbers. So I'm gonna go / and then D, which means digitals from 0 to 9. Also we're gonna allow dots, which is this one, but we can't use it like this because dots, you know, in regex means you can have any character right here. So to make sure it's, you know, taken as the dot, so we're gonna have / to escape it, to make sure that it is, you know, dot and not any other character. Also we can allow hyphens, so we're gonna add hyphens. So I'm gonna use and have plus right here to make sure that, you know, for as many characters we verify them all. So because we don't know the length of the your name, so it's gonna be any number, any length. So we're gonna make sure that we have plus right here. So this was the first part, okay. So now we're gonna work on the second part. So between them we have @ okay. As you see right here, we have the your name, then @ and now we're gonna have the second part. So we're gonna open parentheses again. So this is the second part. So we're gonna go for open brackets, and it's gonna go from A to Z, and then we're gonna allow digitals, okay. So we can have number in the second one, and also we can have hyphens. We don't have points right here, and the same way it could be as long as it is. So we don't know how much, you know, how long the domain is. So after this we have something, then add something, then we have what? They have dots. So this is dots, but we need, as I said, this is taken as any character, so we're gonna escape it, okay. And now we're gonna have the third part. The third part, okay, is gonna be letters from A to Z, and then now we're gonna define the length of it, okay. So the length of it, so this is the third part. The extensions don't be that long, so we're gonna define like a predefined for us. So it's gonna be like at least 2. There is no extensions that like start from 1, so at least 2, and then you can define like a max length for it. For example, like 20, 10, whatever. And I'm gonna use 12 because I don't think there's any extensions that's larger than 12. So this is for this part, okay. So now we don't use plus because we defined a length for it. So now it's gonna be the last part. So this is the fourth part, and here first of all we're gonna have a point, which is dot, and then we're gonna escape it to make sure that it's written as a dot, and then we're gonna have characters from A to Z, and then we're gonna define the length for it also, which is gonna be from 2 to 12 also, okay. And this is an optional part. This part here, the last part, is optional. To make sure that it's taken as optional, we add this right here. So now we finish our regular expression. So question mark means there is, you know, an optional part. So now let's make sure that everything works fine. Let's go back to our controllers. We're gonna go right here, and we're gonna add return right here. So anything after return is not gonna be run. So we're gonna do our test right here. So the function, if it's not valid, when we pass the email to the function, if it's not validated, it's gonna return undefined. So if validated, is gonna return the form of the email. So if not validated, so if not, and we're gonna call the function validate email, and then we're gonna pass our email. So that means it's not validated. So we're gonna make sure that we stop the code. So we're gonna return. So everything after this is not gonna be run, and then we're gonna respond with a status of 400 error, and then we're gonna send our error message. So the message is gonna be invalid email address, okay. So if not, it's just gonna continue run our code. So let's go now and go to Postman, and we're gonna see. So this is the email that we send, and if we click send, we're not gonna get anything because the email right here is right. So if we want right here, for example, and we move at and we try and send again, we're gonna get invalid email address. Let's try again if we have like some special characters, okay, and then send, and then we're gonna get invalid email address. So the email gets validated right here. We can add also something like fr, and then it's gonna be alright. There is no error right here. But if we add another one, there is gonna be an error, so invalid email address. So this is how the way we validate, email address. If you're not wondering what validates email returns, so we can console log validates email, and then we pass the email to see it on the console. So let's try again. So this is a valid email address, and when we send, let's cancel right here and go back to the console, and we're gonna see it returns the form that we sent. So this is the first part, this is the whole string. So this is the first part, this is the second part, and this is the third part, and this is the fourth part. Okay, so if it's undefined, so for example, if we want let's go back right here, and if we want and write something wrong right here, like for example this, and then send, so this is invalid email address. If we went to the console, we're gonna get undefined, okay, and that means that is wrong. Okay, so, and as you see, because it's not validated, it didn't run this code because we have return right here. Okay, so if we didn't have return, it's gonna run this code. So let's try again. You're gonna need to understand this type of thing. So we're gonna go to the console, and we're gonna see it's return null or undefined. Okay, so we're gonna use return to make sure that we stop our code. So that was the first thing about validation. So now we validate the email. We need also to validate the length, and then we're gonna go crypt the password, and then validate to the username. So one thing before, as we validate an email, we're gonna make sure that this email is not existing in the database and it's unique. So if there is a user that exists with this email, we're not gonna allow to use this email for registration. So we're gonna have a check. So it's gonna be const check, and we're gonna go to the database. So it's gonna be await, and then we're gonna go to the user, and we're gonna find one to find like one element from the documents, and then we're gonna use the email. So use it like that, and then you define the value that you want to search by. And because this email is the same, so we're just gonna use email. So it's gonna go to the user, and it's gonna search by the email that we provide in the request body. Okay, and if it does exist, so if check exists, means this email is already exists in the database. We do the same thing. So we're gonna stop our code and return status 400 JSON, and the message is gonna be this: the email address already exists. Try with a different email address. You can make this as professional as you can. Okay, let me make sure that it's right. The email address already, or we can use like this. This email address already exists. Try with a different email address. Okay, so now let's go to the campus and see if this email exists. We can take the same email, this one, and we're gonna go to Postman, and then let's try and use this email to register and send. And as you see, this email address already exists. Try with a different email address. So this part I forgot and we needed to be added. Okay, so now let's create another function. Let's go to exports dot validate length. Okay, and this function is going to take a text. Also it's going to take a minimum length and then a maximum length, and then we're going to do everything right here. So we're going to make sure that this text length is greater than the minimum and less than the maximum. So simply if text dot length is greater than the maximum, or text dot length is smaller than minimum, we're gonna return false, and else we're gonna return true. This is simply it. So we're gonna go back to the controllers. So we're gonna test the first name first. So if validate length, if not, so it means that's false, the first name. Okay, and then we're gonna pass the minimum, for example, like 3, and then the maximum like 30. Okay, if not, validating the length, we're gonna return this, and this time is gonna be first name must be between 3 and 30 characters. You decide whatever you want to go for. We're going to do the same for the last name. So here, last name. Okay, and this is going to be last name, and this is first name. Okay, and then we're going to validate also the password. So password, and it should be at least 6 characters, and then maximum like, I don't know, 40, whatever. You can have any options you want, and then we're gonna have right here, password must be at least 6 characters. Okay, password must be at least 6 characters. And now let's go, we don't want to send anything to the database, so return right here and go back to Postman and then send again. We're not gonna get this email. Okay, let's change this email. Okay, and then I have like first name, which is 1 character, so this is an error. And then we're gonna send again, and you're gonna see first name must be between, first name. Okay, must be between 3 and 30. Let's go back right here. So if we would like something more than 30 and send, we're gonna get the same error for the first name. And then when we validate the first name, so for example like this, and then it's gonna go to the last name and verify it. So if it's 1 character, we're gonna get the same for the last name, and also for the password. If it's, you know, less than 6, we're gonna get, this is not less 6, this is actually 6. Okay, like 2, and then we're gonna get password must be at least 6 characters. So this is validation for the length of, you know, the password. And now we're gonna work, I think now we're gonna crypt the password. So to crypt the password, we're gonna use a package that's called bcrypt, which is the best for crypting password. So we're gonna go to the backend and then npmi bcrypt. Okay, let's wait till it gets installed. Let's go right here and then require it. So const bcrypt equal require bcrypt. Okay, let's close this, and then we're gonna go right here, and then we're gonna have const crypted password, and we're gonna call await and then bcrypt because it takes time. So we're gonna wait bcrypt and then hash, and then we pass the password we wanna hash, and also the salt we're gonna be 12. The salt, as much as it's, you know, larger, it's take longer and it's gonna be more secure. So 12 is a balance. Okay, so let's console log the crypted password to see how it is. Okay, so let's go right here, and then let's have everything right here, and then send. Okay, let's go back to the console, let's go back to the server here, and then we're gonna see this is the password. So we send this type of characters, and then we get the password crypted this way. So this is the password that we're gonna send to the database, not without crypting. So that was quite easy. So now one thing, you know, we have to do, which is validate your username to make sure that it's unique.